So rear barn doors. The first job here was to strip all the paint off so I could find out where the rust was coming through, and I found that it was coming along the bottom of the panel where the underneath or the inside panel crimps to the outside panel. So the water was obviously getting in there, and condensation. It doesn't even matter if it's actual water coming in through the top of the door, it's just the heat, cold, temperature, condensation forming, running down the inside of the panel and rusting the bottom of the door out. So I decided to make a replacement panel for the bottom section and hone my skills bending and welding and all the rest of the stuff, because I haven't made such a significant panel before. So here we go. So here are some shots, laying out the material, trying to work out where to make my cut. I decided to go in between the two hinge holes, so I thought I'd be able to cover it a bit, and it was a good reference point, the holes to the bottom. Here's me measuring the lip. These are some of the fold lines that I would need to make. And this is the complex lip you can see on the left-hand door. And this is the folder that I use, which is just a 5-inch bender in my vise. And marked out where I was going to cut once I'd tried to make sure the template was going to fit properly. And I drilled a hole thinking I was going to use a nibbler, but in the end I just cut it out with the angle grinder. And you can see the rust on the inside here. That's where I tried to fix it from the outside with some welding, but you can see it just leaves exposed metal, which will just rust. So here it is cut away, and some of the rust inside. I ended up using some rust remover converter. And there's my flanging tool, which I use to create a lip for the outside panel to sit on. So they call it's a joggled joint. There's some of the complex lip that I had to make, which only is a feature of the left-hand side rear door. And here I measured from the top of the top hinge hole down to the edge of the panel. It was 114.5 millimeters. I used that as a reference so that when I put the new panel on there, it would line up perfectly. And there's my new panel measured to make sure that it's the right size. So this section of my door was pretty bad on the corner, so I've built it up on the inside with welds and basically just let it blow through wherever it wanted to, and just following it until it started to get solid. Of course this is all scraped back first, all the rust was scraped off, and now what I'm going to do is just grind the outside off so I get a nice smooth contour around that edge. So here's my edge now that I've grounded back a bit. Smooth, no holes in it anymore, so it should be a lot better than it was. Here's my new panel, which I've got ready to go. It's bent over all the way along. It's got the return lip, it has this here section, and basically this I've cleaned out, fixed up the holes, and this is going to slip over here. Like that, push down, and it's going to go over there. You see, but yeah, basically that section is going to go over there. And it's be basically tack welded, and then I might either go completely across and fill it in, or I might just fill it in with some fiberglass or stainless steel filler. But yeah, basically it's my new bit of metal. The old one I've got here somewhere. Let me just get it. This is my old bit of panel that I cut off See how bad that is. Nasty. So that's going to get thrown away, and new one's going to go in place, nice and shiny, and should fix the door for a little while. So inside here I've sprayed some epoxy primer all the way inside and let the seam sealer drip down inside and seal the seam, so that should stop any new rust from forming anyway for a while, and we'll see how it goes. Working on the back door, and what I decided to do to get this to fit properly was to actually cut this lip into 3 parts. So I have the top part folded down, then a middle piece which I then tack welded in place, and then the lip on the outside. So I've got the 3 parts, and then I just tack welded them and then clean them off with a flappy wheel on the grinder, so that I get my nice part that fits, because it's quite a complex section, and I don't have a professional bender at all. It's got a vise, so I had to make it in 3 parts and join them together. But it fits nicely, it slides on there and tack welded in place, and then in there goes the seal, and hopefully the side of it here, the folded over lip, will match with the folded up lip that's on the side of the door existing already. So that's how I got around that one. So I just scraped off any last rust that I could see back to bare metal, and then I used this stuff, rust converter, which is a primer and a sealer, and I've poured it down. I don't know if you can see, but inside here, it's probably a bit hard to see, but inside I basically poured it down the side, put the door at an angle so it all ran into the seam, and on the other side as well. So it poured down the inside seam, and then also straight down so that it ran onto the window lip on the inside, the seam. And then I turned it upside down and made sure it ran all around the inside as well. And I might just put another coat on, run it around a little bit just to make sure that it's all the way on the inside. But that will at least protect the seam from the inside. That stuff basically forms a thick sealant sort of coating, reacts with the rust, turns it into, neutralizes it, and then seals the seam. And then I'll put cavity wax inside there as well. So I'm just trying to make sure that my hard work has not been in vain. Again, due to my rust paranoia, I've sprayed the inside with black epoxy to really try to seal the bottom panel as much as possible. Of course there's drain holes in there, so hopefully that epoxy will form a hard sort of plastic coating and the water will just run off down the drain holes, which is more than they did when they built the thing, so hopefully that helps. Here's my door section at the back, and I've put some glue along the folded lip underside and using these magnets to hold it in place. Then I'm just going to tack it here, and at the end I've used my calipers to measure from the hole down to the bottom so I know it's exactly right, and I'm going to put one tack in and then adjust the other side to make sure that's right and give that a tack as well. Here's my door panel in place. They were never perfect fits from the start, but I think it's going to work out okay. It's pretty good at the bottom. So here's my panel. It's been planished over. I just used a hammer and dolly to basically pinch the edge over, and you can see that the glue is squeezed out, which is good because it'll sort of protect it inside from water getting in there. And the other side now, I have to obviously drill a hole through from the inside to bring it out here, which is where the hinge is going to go. But it's pretty neat. I think I'll end up lead loading that in there or putting some fiberglass filler. So here are the ugly close-ups.